From the world of AV programming and control with James King, I'm Steve Greenblatt, and this is Ask the Programmer. James, how are you today? I'm glad to be back and looking forward to today's episode.
I'm definitely looking forward to this one, Steve. I'm doing good. And how are yourself?
Doing pretty well. It's a springtime as we were recording this in the April of 2025. So it always brings a little bit of uh, uplift in terms of people's mood and so forth, and I can appreciate that. So um, today we're going to jump into an area that I would say, and I don't want to speak for James, but neither of us necessarily consider our area of expertise, but it's something that we value and appreciate, and we've talked about before in this episode, and it's an area that I think programmers need to be um, more familiar with and more adept to embracing, and that's user interface and UI design. And I'm not saying that we want everybody to, be artists and so forth, but I think it is definitely a component of what we do. And if in the AV industry, I think you kind of have to have a expertise in a lot of different areas. So what we're talking about specifically is user interface design, the way we're seeing the trends go toward more modern approaches. Have we gotten away from doing custom? Is that a good thing? And are we trying to hitch our wagon to something that may be a little trendy, I guess I'll say. And I'm sure that a lot of this will be a little controversial and get some people up in arms, but that's what we're going to discuss today. So James, one of the things that I've experienced and I would imagine you have as well is that um, we're seeing a lot of similar designs, and that's not even similar um, per manufacturer, but it's similar across the industry. And they're a little plain, they're a little bit two dimensional. And that's great. I can value a clean look, but when we start to emulate things that are done a certain way, we subject ourselves to those things changing, and then all of a sudden we're the ones that are not doing it right. So what's your experience been in this area? And I'm sure you've seen a lot of changes throughout the years.
So, yeah, I would not call myself a UI expert. Um, it's definitely interesting. I've seen a trend that, a lot of them are, I don't want to use cookie cutter, but they're like clones of each other. Um, they might change the coloring, the branding, but you see it one, you see them all type deal. It to me, it has pros and cons. I would say the big pro is it makes users feel comfortable. So especially in higher ed, our faculty members, yeah, they're teaching here, but they do go visit. Sometimes they're a visiting speaker at a conference or another school, and be able to walk in and see a similar interface makes them feel a little more comfortable. So that is a huge pro. The problem then is I feel is it tends to get shoehorned in to be like, okay, this is what the box I have to work in, and you lose the fun, the wow. I remember my one again. This was a big project. Um, the more custom UI was more for our tech and not for our users. Our user was a very basic UI, limited functionality, but the tech panel, and when I mean tech panel, not just like AV support, like even our production team used it, more advanced people who were trying to do more advanced stuff in the space. And we had locations, different locations that the lecterns could be plugged into. We had multiple displays. So I actually took a map of the room and all the connection points and all the displays and I actually had them on the map. And then what that allowed was a suggestion from my coworker was actually made those locations actionable, meaning that they had a button over them. If it saw valid video, it indicates there was a valid video there. And then they can actually click a source and send it to a destination right from the map. So they could see from the map where they were, and where they wanted to go and just click and be done with it. So I think custom has its place as well, but yeah, I don't know. I I go back and forth.
Yeah, I think it's a tough one because it becomes a little bit hairy and controversial because people say why recreate the wheel or why create custom when you don't have to, when it's already done for you. But as an integrator or as somebody like you said, if you know your faculty, they certainly don't. Some want the consistency and want to be like everybody else, and others saying, well, we want to rise above. And I would say that that would, for programmers, for integrators, you want to be able to differentiate in some regard because the code isn't necessarily something that's tangible and easy for somebody to relate to. So they have to look at the user interface, and that is really their judge, you know, which works against some people if they're subpar. But is there some way to take a modern look and still make it into something that is a little bit more catered, let's say, to either a client or the type of room or so forth.
Yeah, no, definitely. Again, like I said, it's one of those things where it what meets your needs. Really, just like you can kind of go chop it up to our configurator versus custom programming. Each has their pros, each have their cons. They both have their location in and usability in our industry. So you just got to find the right one for your situation, and what works. You get more power with the customization, but the problem with the customization is you get more bugs. It takes longer. Um, you know, there's things you have to consider where if you have that template, that configurator, let's say, and for the UI, it it works. You can easily deploy, make some modification to the branding, brand your location, and then you're good.
Yeah. Well, when if I need to, if I can throw another wrench into the mix, when we are starting to emulate products, whether it's um, for some time it was the Cisco Touch 10, then it became Zoom. Now I'm sure that people are asking about Teams. There's uh, being wanting to say, hey, I have this standard experience. Let's say that all of the people in my organization are used to working with. I want to now extend that to these custom rooms with a similar look. I could appreciate the fact that they need to, that's what gives them consistency because they have far more of the non-custom rooms than the custom rooms. But when you're talking about that, that's where when I was saying at the beginning, if one of those decides that they're going to change their user interface, that could be a real issue for having to make the custom rooms consistent. And taking that one step further, if you're trying to recreate that experience in a custom room, that could really be a challenge. And we've talked about that before.
Yeah, and that's I would say one of the huge drawback of trying to mimic a manufacturer's UI. And don't get me wrong, this is not a knack on the manufacturer UI and stuff, more that we as programmers don't control what they do with their UI. So when they do make modification to their UI, Then it comes down to, okay, do we change ours? Do we leave it the same? Um, if we change it, is there a cost associated with it? How does it impact? So there's a lot of things to consider when we are trying to mimic a manufacturer's UI.
I think we kind of talked, if we look at this maybe from like a SWOT analysis. We talked about some of the strengths and weaknesses. Where are the opportunities? That
Yep.
there are some ways, like you said, can I brand it? Can I tweak it? Can I customize it so I'm still maintaining the essence of the UI, but I'm making it my own? Some ways of also doing that might be to add more indicators and warnings, or some way of being able to guide the user's experience and make that a little bit more enhanced. So that again, you're taking the baseline, but you're adding to it and putting your spin on it. Is that something you think has some legs?
Yeah, I think that does have some legs because it's a little of a mix of both environments. So it does have some good legs to it.
Well, I think this is another good conversation that I hope our audience will be able to benefit from and be able to reference and visit when they're either looking at having this conversation within their organization or with their clients and so forth. And it's another one that I'm sure spurs some questions and comments. So we'd like to hear from you in that regard. And if you're interested in coming on to talk about your experience, please reach out to us and let us know. We any of our topics or shows, we would be glad to have follow-ups and subject matter experts. So reach out to us and let us know what you think, and if you would be willing to share your thoughts on recording. James, until next time, how can people get in touch with you, learn what you're up to, and keep this conversation going?
Again, I'm out on the socials, X as AB_James King, Blue Sky, on LinkedIn with the Ask the Programmer community. Again, you Google me, you'll find me.
For me, you can reach me at Steve Greenblatt on social media, on the platforms that James just mentioned, and would love to interact and connect with more members of our audience. So please let us know. We're excited to keep delivering content and would be really thrilled to know that we're making a difference. And so please either send us a comment or share your favorite episode, or uh, give us some feedback in whatever way works best for you. Infocom is coming down soon, and if you are listening and you're planning on being there, please reach out to us and let us know. Maybe we can get a little meetup going. That would be really nice, something informal, but it would be great to be able to meet more people who are in our listening audience. So please connect with us in that regard as well. Um, as you may or may not know, we have a video version on YouTube and an audio version in your favorite podcast player. So you could check us out in either of those platforms. And we are excited to say that our numbers are moving up. So we appreciate the listenership out there. Until next time, this has been Ask the Programmer.